Hi everyone, how are you all feeling? Yeah. So, thank you for the kind introduction that was given earlier, and thank you for the invitation, especially to Rakesh sir and everybody who has made this thing possible. It's an amazing thing to talk to younger people. So, I am basically a creative environmentalist and a peace builder. Now, I coined this term myself because I do a lot of things like climate action, peace building, music, space exploration, all these things, but I do it with creativity. And I was thinking so many people have these titles environmentalist, peace builders, astronaut, things like that. Well, why don't you add your part to it? So I started calling myself a creative environmentalist and a peace builder. But while doing that in my life, as I reflect on my journey, I realized that it has to do a lot with developing a sense of belongingness, developing that culture of belongingness, or building that culture of belongingness. Because in our traditions, in our values, being from India, we have been taught that everything is interconnected. And I started feeling the same. It's a sense of connecting with everything and everybody, but also fulfillment. So let's just talk in the very beginning about the fulfillment. Most of you have heard maybe from your parents, from your teachers, from everybody that let's focus only on one thing. Be a master of one skill. Let's go as niche as possible. Do just one thing that you can master. But believe me, I'm equally to you also. I'm sure many of you are from my generation as well. I'm not that very old. But I have seen landlines becoming a phone in our hand and then that touch screen becoming a fold one. So that transformation in technology has taught us one thing, that we cannot limit ourselves to just one field of study or one field of, let's say, exploring. I mean, it is still valid that you have to be a master of one, that you can say, oh, this is my forte, this is what I can speak with my eyes closed or anywhere like impromptu. But at the same time, we also can master a lot of skills, which you all are doing. I mean, if very honest, if we have time to procrastinate, we also have time to do things that fascinates us. So it's all about time management. So fulfillment is directly proportional to how well we manage our time and what makes you playful. So somebody asked me a question a while ago, Rumit, what makes you playful? And I was like, what do you mean? What makes you playful? So he said, what makes you happy? So I said, there are a lot of things. I cannot just tell one thing like, nobody, if I'll ask you what makes you happy, maybe some of you will say that sleeping more in the morning makes you happy. Or playing football or cricket makes you happy. But there's going to be a list of things. So if there's a list of things that is making you happy and there's a list of things that you want to do, why don't you start pursuing that? So I was always in that zone. My friends, families always have been telling me, they have been very supportive, but at the same time they've always been telling me this very famous sayings and quotes. They were saying that you always have to keep both of your feet in one boat. Two boats cannot go together. I mean, you'll fall somehow. But then I say, but maybe if you manage both the boats together, or somebody like a mentor who is actually riding the boat, who is the driver of the boat, if you tell them that this is going to be the speed, I mean, we all study science, and this is how we're going to be tackling the waves and everything, I think you can stand on those two boats forever of your life. Both feet can be there. Of course, you'll be mastering a skill, but you can also practice other things with you. And that is what has been a wonderful part of this journey, where people, you will see that people who have been good in academics, they've also been good in music, or they've also been good in doing theaters or playing sports, different kind of things. You ask any personality, all the people sitting here, they are a master in one skill, but they know a lot of other skills as well, which they practice in their free time. So fulfillment always comes when you feel playful, when you feel happy doing everything that you can. Another saying that I usually challenge, I'm sure you must have heard of this saying, that an apple doesn't fall far from its tree. It's a very famous saying. Everybody keeps on saying that. We will hear this in so many places. So an apple doesn't fall far from the tree means basically the kid have the same traits and personalities of their parents or their teachers. So what they teach the teacher or the parents, they usually portray the same personalities. But let's challenge that. For example, The tree might define where the apple is going to fall, but it's about the apple, how it shapes itself and how far it can go. Maybe the tree is on a hill. The tree is standing on a hill, and if apple, like you people, shape yourself in a way that you know that when you fell, when you will be falling on the ground, you're definitely going to roll down a long way. I mean, the tree may not be visible as well. And it also depends who is picking that apple. Let's say if somebody picks it up from the tree itself and eat it, that's okay. But let's say if somebody picks the apple and take it to a farmer's market, its value is going to double or triple. And if the same apple is ending up in a supermarket, its value going to be skyrocketed. So the tree may define where you start, but it's always up to you where you want to be seen in, let's say, coming years. Now, I have 2-3 stories that I want to share with you, and I'll tell you what are the barriers in your life that you can come up with and what are the basically challenges that you always feel about. So, as in the introduction was also mentioned, I started my journey when I was 12 in the school. We were always reading about environmental science, environmental studies, how paper is being recycled, how aluminium can be recycled. So I just started doing very basic thing. जब school खत्म हो जाता था, when usually the classes ends, I used to pick up all the papers and aluminium foils which used to come in our lunch boxes, and I used to take back home with me. And I used to put all those papers inside the newspapers bundle and everything, and I used to go to the recycler and give it to him. Of course, pocket money was one inspiration for me. But apart from that, it was like, if paper can be recycled, why are we throwing it in the classroom? I can just pick it up. I started doing this like for years. Then other people joined. Now we have a group of people which now is an organization actually. But that same habit is still there with me. So it's about consistency. Now this same consistency, for 25 years of my life, I never traveled in an airplane. I never traveled outside my city. I was always there. Born, brought up, based, everything. So I never imagined that I will maybe go this far and that far. So I started going with the same mindset to several libraries and several centers like American Center, US Embassy, things like that, wherein I can just learn more about it. And you won't believe, I come from an area where the roads are not very good yet. Maybe you will not believe in a very technological area roads are not built. But believe me, there are power cuts continuously. There are no road builds. And I used to wake up sometimes at 4 p.m. with my friend to paste some posters on the wall so that I can earn a little bit of more money so that I can go to these centers to experience all the session happenings. So I started going there, and then years passed. Earth Network India and American Center, they did recognize my effort in that picking up that single sheet of paper from the classroom. We started planting trees as well. Rakesh Khatriji also recognized us in that way. But one day, ambassador of US Embassy, he came to me and he said, "What are you doing? What are you studying?" I said, "I'm just picking some books from environment and I'm studying because I have this habit of picking up paper and recycling, and I want to know what all other things that I can recycle and pick up from the streets or something like that." Again, money was always included because pocket money. But yeah. So then I had no idea that they were going to be nominating me for something which is one of the most prestigious program in the world. It's called IVLP. And then last year in April, I went for this program, which is fully sponsored by the US State Department. And in this program, 99% of the people have been presidents and prime ministers of countries, including our prime minister. So, I mean, a person who have come from an area where there are power cuts, where there are like no roads, basically it's all dirty water and stuff. I never imagined that I will go to United States, I'll stay there for a month and travel the whole country. Nobody in my family also imagined. So sometimes your barriers is only one step. Just that step that I took, picking up that paper and started recycling, took me to being mentioned in international newspaper. So if at any point of time you think that maybe this step is not going to put a lot of efforts or a lot of impact into the world, just forget about that. Just do your part. If you think that this is something that makes you playful or happy, just start doing it and it will pay off. Now, second story I will tell you. So I'm not from a music background, and my family, both generations, my father and my mother family, like long family tree, if I go, nobody has been a musician. Nobody is a professionally trained singer, or nobody plays instrument as well. Now, I don't know how and why I was very keen towards music since my school. But this thought has always come in my mind that within Bollywood, we have heard these things that if you don't have connections, if you're not classically trained, if you not has those 10,000 hours of getting trained, you will not make the cut. But I have my own band now, Virha Band. That is the only climate and action unity band in India, and we have performed across India, not just India. I recently went to Russia to perform a semi-classical, and I'm still not trained in music. So if I had self-doubt myself, so second barrier, if I had self-doubt, see, I do not come from a trained background, nobody will invite me, how would I perform if I mess it up? How would it be a representation of my country or myself? I could have just stopped there. But because music was something that made me playful and made me happy, I started just pursuing it. And I still can't read music, to be honest. I can sing, but these are my friends and circle, family people, other people who started picking it up and then telling me this, you can do this, you can do this. So other band members that I have, they're very good musicians. They have a family background. They've come from like trained classical background. But this is how I coexist with them. So sometimes, going back to the story, picking up that apple, it really depends who all your mentors are and who all your surrounding is. If the apple is still hanging on the tree and you know that a storm coming tomorrow, and there's your chance, there's your opportunity that within the storm, I'm definitely going to fall down, and I know that storm is going to take me far away from the tree. Or if somebody is picking the apple, it really depends who that person is. Who are you letting yourself pick up? Maybe that person can take you to Hollywood. Maybe that person can take you to heights that you could have never imagined. So it's also about how you shape yourself. Maybe in Apple, you are just lazy enough, you're not shaping yourself. So when you fall down, you definitely want to roll. Maybe you just fall down and just there. But it also depends on the situation. So you always have to grab an opportunity. You all know that Newton ke sir pe apple gira tha, right? Apple to history mein aa gaya wo naam, right? So Apple saw the opportunity that a mad scientist is sitting under the tree and fell on his head. Now that Apple is in history, that Apple has made history. So you always have to also figure out what are your opportunity. The third and the final story. So another three. So the first thing that I told you, that take one step. Second is never self-doubt, never. The third one is that you should never compare yourself. We all have our own timelines. Everybody, if somebody is successful at the age of 12, is like a prime minister awardee or something like that, or a Diana awardee, and if I have thought ki, oh, 12 years, that girl is that, I am nothing. But everybody has their own timeline. So never compare yourself to anybody. And this third story is about that. So very recently, I started doing dialogues. Because we were also talking about this in the morning. Everything is now on our mobile phones and we do not interact. So I started doing these dialogues, but to do these dialogues, I started going to villages and learning from these people. How did they sit in panchayats and in gatherings and they start these dialogues? Most of it was gossiping, but I picked up the amazing things as well. So I started doing sessions on the art of dialogue. I started doing intersecting things. Again, the development, the culture of belonging is developing that culture of belonging is how peace is intersecting with music, how space exploration and climate action are related. I just started finding those things and started collaborating them. So I did a very big series with several of the embassies that got recognition and stuff. And I was, at one point of time, I was thinking, yeah, there are a lot of people who have been doing dialogues from 50 years. They are like the pioneer of their industry. Why have I picked this field up at this stage of my life? It will take me 20-30 years to be an expert in that. But a very recent incident, and when I said recent, it was 12th of January, this January. So in the National Youth Festival that has happened in Bharat Mandapam, I was invited to lead the Sustainability in Young Leaders Dialogue, where I had the opportunity to do a lunch with the Prime Minister. So I could have never thought that just 1 or 2 years of doing this art of dialogue will lead me to have a lunch with Prime Minister and sharing stories with him ki how I started doing this dialogue. So never compare and never also underestimate your timelines. Now I'll just wrap it up. Again, my famous thing is always challenging the quotes and saying that have been there in our, like, from hundreds of years. Many people say that sky's the limit. No. I mean, we have been to the moon, right? People are planning to go to the Mars. Voyager is like thousands of miles away. So sky is definitely not the limit. Maybe sky is just the beginning. So when somebody says you do not come from a background, you do not have a family background, you do not have money, you're not rich, you don't have connections in this place, never listen to them. Unless and until you dream big, you will not be able to achieve it. At least dream big. If you want to be the prime minister, dream that. Maybe you'll end up being a chief minister. Maybe. But still, if you don't dream big enough to be in that position, the universe will not let you. Universe is always sending ideas into your mind. And whenever these ideas come to your mind, always start implementing them. Because always remember that it's never your time. It's that idea's time. Because a lot of generation have been to earth, right? They have been doing wonderful things. But when an idea comes to your mind, always understand that idea will take you with itself. It's not who you had the idea and you were doing this. It was the idea's time. And if you pursue that, the idea will take you far. And everything is connected from sunflower to sunfish. Everything is connected. So whenever somebody tells you, no, you're a science background, you should not pursue performative arts. If you think you can do that, do that. Because again, everything is connected and technology has taught us this very basic thing. So take a step whenever you feel right or wrong. Take that very step. Never self-doubt. Never compare yourself. You all have your different timelines. And trust the process of consistency. If you are consistent, maybe not now, but that whole, वो कहते हैं ना मेहनत का फल तो मिलता है. That is a saying that I never challenge. So that is always true. अब वो फल भी tweak करते हैं थोड़ा सा. मेहनत का फल तो मिलता है, पर कितना मीठा फल चाहिए, that also depends on you. और maybe शायद आपको मीठा नहीं चाहिए, maybe you like kiwi, right? Or grapes. So it also depends कि आपको फल कैसा चाहिए. So it's all within you. Always make sure you have surroundings. And lastly, barriers सबकी life में होते हैं, but so do the tools to break them. You always have these tools. So you just have to recognize your skills and people who can help you break that barrier. Or even if you don't have those tools, you're not able to recognize those tools, just start walking. Reach that barrier at least. दीवार पे जाके टकराओ तो जब भी तो पता चलेगा कि कितनी, क्या पता वो दीवार ही कॉटन की हो. आपको दूर से लग रहा है कि भाई ये तो दीवार है, पता चला आप उसको पार ही कर जाओ. You do not need any tools. Your body is enough. So never stop. And again, recognize and make sure you have good people around you, or everybody is good, but take out the best out of them. Thank you so much, everyone.